Hello, everybody. Mike Mills with Mike Mills Mortgage and Finance here. This is the Texas Real Estate and Finance Podcast, and I am dressed up today. I actually have a shirt with a collar on because I have a very special guest joining me today. I want to make sure I look my best and not my normal raggedy t-shirt. But today we're going to talk about marketing in real estate, and specifically with social media. I do a lot of stuff on this channel about marketing and advertising for real estate agents and what they can do to kind of help grow their business a little bit. And, I always like to talk to people that have actually done it. Now, I've had people on here that have done it in the past, or they have a business that they run and they do it for agents. And there's a lot of valuable, wonderful people, coaches out there that do a great job. But I really like to hear from agents that have boots on the ground that are actually doing it and, have had successes, but also can tell us about their failures that led to them having successes. So joining me today is Miss Amanda Ryan. Hey, look at my timing on that. It worked out really well.
I love it. Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity to be here.
Thank you, Amanda. I appreciate you being here. So Amanda is with the On the Move team, DFW. Did I say it right?
Yep.
Okay, good. With Keller Williams. And now she's been in real estate for just a little over 6 years, correct? Which, I'm sure you've experienced in dealing with other agents in the world that, it's like, I've been doing this for 30 years. So, there's a lot of, everybody's been out there doing it for a long time, but in the short amount of time and, perspective wise that you've been doing this, you have, had a very successful career for yourself. You have built, a strong team that's now supporting that development, and you have had a really good amount of success with social media. And for someone that's only been in the business for 6 years, that's a lot of things to accomplish in a short amount of time. So I want to start just by finding out a little bit about you and find out kind of how you got into the business and what brought you into real estate, where you kind of came from. So tell us a little bit about all that kind of fun stuff.
Yeah. So taking it a little far back, not too far, a little further back, but I'm originally from Ohio, and I went to college in South Carolina at Coastal Carolina University. Graduated, I got my...
So what took you from Ohio to South Carolina?
So I thought it would be great to be able to study, but at the beach instead of in the cold.
I like it.
Yeah. The winters are so cold in Ohio. And so I said, you know what? If I'm going to have to pay student loans no matter where I go, I want to be comfortable and I want to at least be able to study on the beach. So,
I love it.
Yeah, I went to Coastal Carolina, graduated from there with a degree in sports administration.
Okay.
Knew that I wouldn't be able to really grow up in South Carolina. Coastal Carolina is just right outside of Myrtle Beach. Okay. And so it's a very tourist and college town.
Uh-huh.
And so there's like no way I could actually like adult there.
Right. So I had a very similar experience. So I understand, not the beach, but mine was different. But yes, very, very impossible to adult in those situations. Yeah. I totally understand.
No way. So I moved back to Ohio, got a full-time job, and that ended up turning into my dream job, was to be an athletic director.
Yes.
And so that was great. I worked there for 2 years and loved what I did. I didn't have to teach and, be in the classroom. And yet I was able to be a part of the sports experience and having coach, referee, all of these official meetings.
What did you play when you were in high school?
Just about everything.
Yeah.
So I ran track. I was a cheerleader. I was in gymnastics. I played lacrosse.
Yes.
When I went to Coastal, when I continued to play lacrosse.
Yeah.
So I've always just been very athletic and always a part of a team. And so I just really resonated with that. Sports was such a big part of my life.
Yeah.
So that's why I got my degree in sports administration and knew that I wanted to be an athletic director. And so it was crazy because graduating college, like months later, I was in my dream job as an AD. And it was awesome. It was really great. My best friend, my childhood best friend, had moved to Texas because her parents moved here one summer. And so this is when I was still living in Ohio. Her parents transferred to Texas.
So the job you got for the AD was in Ohio back at home?
It was, yeah. And so I came for a summer for a weekend to visit her, and she was dating a guy who was Nick's roommate.
Okay.
So back
Nick's
then,
your husband?
Nick is my husband
Okay.
now. Yeah. So what was it? 8 years ago. Met Nick
Mhm.
that summer. We were really long distance, and then I decided to just pick up everything, move to Texas.
Now, did you meet him in college?
No, that's when I had graduated college.
Okay.
I was in my full-time job as an
Oh, you
athletic
came to visit
director.
her and
Mhm.
met him while you were here.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I spent that summer just really coming here every weekend, every other weekend. And Nick is a business owner. He owns Killer Hot Rods, which is a classic custom car hot
Oh,
rod,
wow. That's
yeah,
awesome.
business. And so, I knew there was no way that I was going to get him to move to Ohio. And
This is
let's be,
business. Yeah.
yeah, because his business is already established here. And let's be honest, already know how I feel about the cold weather.
Right.
So I
You
was,
weren't exactly upset that you might want to
yeah.
move out of Ohio. Right, right, right.
So I was like, okay, fine. I'll go ahead and move to Texas. And so I did. The funny thing though is that when I moved here, I was like, okay, I'm going to just get right back in the swing of things. I'm going to be an athletic director. The funny thing is that you can't be an athletic director without having your teaching degree.
Is that a Texas thing?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And so I was like, okay, teaching is not my jam. That's not going to happen.
It's not a lot of people's jam these days. The
Yeah.
teachers are leaving left and right on us. It's really
So
depressing.
no way. Well, I ended up finding a fundraising job, which was cold calling coaches and athletic directors to get them to run a fundraiser. It was a catalog filled with personalized clothing that supported, their team.
Okay.
And so I took that job, just thought it would be temporary, and ended up actually loving it. I had a cold call, but talking to coaches and athletic directors was my thing already. I had
Right.
done it in the past.
Right.
So I worked there. It was a very male dominated industry. And yet I rose to the top.
Mhm.
I was rookie of the year, had top number of sales and fundraisers that were coordinated.
Yeah.
So it was really cool.
You were hustling it and killing it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
how were all the other guys? Were they like, oh, it's okay?
yeah,
Or,
actually
or they're like,
they were good. No, they were good. It's naturally it's going to be a competitive atmosphere.
Yep.
So, yeah, it was good. And I don't regret one thing about that position because it taught me so many things.
Mhm.
One of the girls, Rachel, had left from there and got into real estate. And her and I were pretty close. Just again, it was a very male dominated
Yeah, you're
company.
one of the few ladies there, so
Yeah.
y'all are buddies.
So
Yeah.
we had like our own little girl team there.
Yeah.
So I met up with her and we were just talking and she was telling me about real estate and I was just immediately sold. I was like, wait, like I get to be my own boss. I get to make my own hours, this, that. So I ended up getting into real estate school shortly after meeting with her on it. So I did my classes online
Mhm.
and then not
Cool.
too long after I was quitting and getting into real estate full time.
Wow. So did
Yeah.
you, when you got finished, did you go right? It was Keller Williams the first place that you went?
It was.
Okay. Why did you choose them when you were looking around?
So I had met, and what's funny is I never went to any other brokerage.
Oh, wow.
I had
Okay.
met with a few agents. I had met with a team leader. I had went to career night and I was just like, this is where I want to be.
Yeah.
These people they're going to show me the way. They're doing bigger and better things. They can show me the ropes without me having to reinvent the wheel.
Yep.
And so I never even went anywhere else. So Keller Williams, day one.
Yeah.
And I'm still here today.
Well, it's very much they have their own culture.
Yeah.
And like when you show up, you just don't experience that. I mean, really anywhere. I mean, honestly, like,
Yeah.
there's other big box brokerages like the Remaxes and the Century 21s and all those of the world, which are all great too. But Keller just does things differently and they create a different atmosphere. They have, very strong, team building events. And what I mean by that is, just like what you went to, you were telling me the,
Mega camp.
yeah, the mega camp that you guys had. I mean, stuff like that. Other places just don't do that kind of stuff. And when you can get everybody in a place together and get them excited about what they do, the power of that is immeasurable, right?
Hands down. Yeah. The culture, the people, the training, the systems, the models, all the things.
Yeah.
It's funny because I remember going to career night and having a question about like getting into the business and what can I expect, business. And I know that it's commission based. So What's it going to look like until I get paid?
Right.
And everyone was just like, oh, here, let me tell you this. Let me share this with you. Let me help you. And it was kind of like, hey, let's all take arms in this together.
Yeah.
And let me show you the way.
Yeah.
And so like, I just remember that. And I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
I don't even have to meet anywhere else.
No, well, it's kind of like house shopping, right? What it's truly like I tell
Does
people,
it check all the boxes?
yes,
Great. Let's
right.
put an offer in.
Yeah. Well, when you're out looking, because you deal with obviously buyers and so do I, and they'll say, oh, we like this one and we kind of like this one and blah, blah, blah. And you're like, well, then neither one of those are the one.
Yeah.
And you're like, what do you mean? I'm like, because when you find the one,
yeah,
you'll know, like there won't be a, well, maybe, it's like, no, this is the one,
yeah,
and I mean,
sure.
I've experienced that with every house that I've bought with, I mean, not me per se, but my wife for sure, when we go look at 4 or 5 different houses and she's like, oh, I get this one's okay. And then we pull up to one, she's like, this is it. And I'm like, how do you know? She's like, I just know. All right, fine. So it's kind of the same thing, right?
Yep.
You had
we don't need to waste any more time. Let's just get to it. Yep.
So how long did you go on your own? Well, I don't know. I say on your own. Keller's very structured with teams and they have mentors and, and all that kind of stuff. But from the difference between where you started doing it, right out of the gate versus where you're at now with your team, how did that transition? How did that all play out?
So I have a different story than most agents when they get into the business. So I met with a team that was a very successful team. And I said, I want to get into the business. I'm a little nervous about going all in full commission.
Right.
And so do you have any opportunities for somebody that, just wants to get their feet wet? Yeah. And so this team had an opening for an inside sales agent position.
Okay.
And so that's what I started with.
What is that? Just
I was the one that was generating leads for the team.
Okay.
And so I was the one cold calling for sale by owners, expireds, online leads. And then once I set the appointment, giving those to the agents.
So I want you to talk a little bit about that because there's this fear, maybe fear is not the right word, but there's certainly a hesitation for a lot of quote unquote salespeople, real estate agents, whatever, when it comes to the whole idea of cold calling.
Oh yeah.
Like it's terrifying, right?
Oh yeah.
How can I'm not gonna call a random person and I'm not I don't know how to do that. Right now, you went from doing it right out of the gate because I've actually done similar to thing where you were talking about how you were selling the or not the subscriptions, but the specific apparel to the schools or whatever.
Yeah, the fundraising.
So one of the jobs that I had in college, I worked for a local newspaper. It's called the Fort Worth Business Press in Fort Worth. And I was selling advertising. Well, I mean, that is like knocking on every single possible business that you can imagine showing up. They don't want to buy it. It's a newspaper. This was like right as the internet was starting to kind of take off too. And they're like, why would I want to do this? But you have to deal with rejection because you just get told no so many times. And eventually you're just like numb to it kind of. But just talk a little bit about what it's like doing the cold calling thing and why it's been something that you've been easily, or maybe not easily, but just been able to manage without getting frustrated by it.
Yeah. Well, the fundraising job definitely molded me.
Correct.
And so, when I knew that I wanted to get into real estate, and it's one of those when you're like, I'm going to do any and everything to make this happen.
Right.
And so I was like, okay, I'm going to take this job that nobody else wants to do. And I'm just going to hustle and I'm going to get it done. And so, that it's like choose your hard, right? Yeah. And so what's my hard? Either getting rejected by cold calling or not becoming a full-time agent like I want to.
Right.
And so I chose my hard.
Okay.
And so I picked up the phone and I cold called and I was setting all these appointments for these agents. It wasn't too long. I imagined being in this position like 6 months to a year.
Okay.
And it wasn't even 2 months. And I was like, I am setting all of these appointments.
For others. Yeah.
I'm like, I'm going to.
Yep.
I'm going to do it and I'm going to do it for myself now.
Yeah.
And so I had that conversation with that same team leader for that team that I was on. Okay. And she was like, yeah, I agree. I think that you're ready.
Yeah.
Like, go ahead. And so that's when I really dove all in.
Okay.
And then, so I was then in the office cold calling and setting appointments, but this time they were for myself.
For yourself.
And so, being new to Texas, I didn't have family, friends,
anybody. You don't have the sphere because you didn't know anybody. Yeah.
I didn't have all of that. Yeah. So cold call was how I built my business.
Yeah.
And what's so funny is that I don't regret that at all because looking back on that 6 years now, like some of my best loyal, most repeat clients, most referrals, they're from expireds. They're
Wow.
from for sale by owners.
Yeah.
So it's really cool. Yes, you get rejected. Yes, it's, not for the weak. You got to kind of have a backbone to do
Yeah, you
it.
gotta have a little
But,
thick skin. You might have
but
someone drop some unfriendly words at you from
I
time to
mean,
time.
it happens,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
It
yeah.
can also happen with your family too. So,
Yeah. Yes, it certainly can.
so yeah, I don't regret it at all, and glad that I took the time to do that and build my business that way. So,
Is it still a part of what you guys do as a team now? Not for you probably, because I'm sure, you're not cold calling like you used to, but do y'all have it as an element of what y'all do?
we don't.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
what's crazy.
Yeah.
So I was on that team for about 2 years, had left, went on my own for just a little bit. Now I still had my showing specialist with me. I had a part-time admin at that time. But that's really when COVID hit. And I was like, okay, it doesn't feel right to cold call people when I've got people that I'm cold calling, they're out of a job, they're
Yeah.
sick, their
Yeah.
family's sick.
Yeah.
Like they don't know how
Felt
they're going to
dirty.
pay.
Yeah.
They didn't know how they were going to pay their mortgage or, do whatever they needed to do. Like it was just really weird. It didn't feel organic. It didn't feel right.
Right.
So that's when I said, okay, I'm going to drop the cold calling. I'm going to get real with social media and I'm going to see what this does for me.
So the idea during COVID was you were doing cold calling, you were really having a lot of success at that, but because of the circumstances, like you said, kind of didn't feel the right way to go about things. So the next thing you're looking for is, okay, I got to find another avenue to reach customers, right? So what is that going to look like? Well, now your avenue is social media. What was there anything in particular? Like, did you have like an aha moment or anything where like social media is the way versus saying, I'm going to start doing mailers or I'm going to start, the old school way of marketing? Was there something about that in particular, other than you just knew, people were there or?
Well, I thought of it like this. What do I have more of, time or money? And so mailers cost money. Posting advertisements online or buying leads from Zillow, all of that costs money.
Yes.
So what do I have more of, money or time? I knew that I had more time.
Okay.
And so that's when I said, okay, I feel that with my time, I can put out value. I can put out content that I know of, that I'm an expert in.
Right.
Put that out there and let's just see what it does. And so that's what I did.
Okay.
It's funny because like Mike, I did not have this glamorous studio. Like I did not have anything like this. I had a spare bedroom where like the bed was in the middle of
Nobody's
a
ever
room.
described the studio as glamorous, by the way, but thank you.
It's very nice. I like it.
Thank you.
I had a spare bedroom and, I never let anybody see like the bed, the dresser, the TV.
Certain angle, like corner.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I like totally like cornered. I'm like, like don't look behind me. I had a desk and I had like all of these like Millionaire Real Estate, Shift, like all these books.
Yeah.
That my camera stood on top of.
Yeah. I love it. I love it.
Like I didn't have like the nice little tripods like we have today. Right?
Yeah.
So I didn't have, that's what I used. And I just positioned myself in a corner so that you couldn't see anything. It was just a white wall. And I just went to work.
Started talking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Recording videos.
What kind of stuff did you start with? Like, where did you feel like in your mind that you're like, all right, here, did you start with videos? Did you start with pictures? Did you start with, like how did you come up with your a plan of attack? And I love, if the answer is, I had no idea what I was doing, I just turned the camera around and started talking. I think that's awesome too, because that's sometimes how you learn. So did you have a strategy or did you just try it out?
I was already posting like standard posts.
Okay.
With photos and
closing,
like stories and all of that.
Pictures of your listings.
Yeah. I was doing that. And then I said, okay, what can I do that is going to make people stop the scroll? Now, it wasn't called stop the scroll back then.
Right.
Now that's like a term that everybody uses. But so I just really dove into video.
Okay.
That was really where I wanted to start.
Did you understand how impactful video was at the time? I'm sure you know now, obviously, because you do it. But at that time, did you realize that it would be, because one of the things we talk about that I bring people on, we talk about all the time with video is, I think there's a hierarchy of communication, right?
Mhm.
There is like the lowest form of communication in my mind is like email, right? I mean,
Right.
it comes across, people see it, but the engagement or whatever, it's got low impact. I still think it has its place, but it's just not there, right?
Right.
Then you have, maybe I would call it maybe text messaging, right? Text messaging is great. Sending someone a message is fine. They'll communicate, but it doesn't carry tone.
Right.
Things get lost in translation all the time. Like, it's got issues of itself. Then I would say like a phone call, right? Pick up the phone, talk to somebody, you get their voice, you hear their voice. It's a communication level there. I would say the highest level is what you and I are doing right now,
Right.
sitting
That
face to face and having a conversation, being able to see body language and talk. But I would say right under that would be video,
I
right?
agree.
And
Yeah.
and I think, that's not a secret anymore. Everybody kind of knows that that's what it is. But I wouldn't say when you started that was as prevalent as like, oh, video is the answer. So was that just something you felt, or did you have some idea of you thought that was the best way to do it?
Well, I would say, thinking back, I probably didn't know that video was going to be what it is today.
Okay.
But I also had all of the time.
Right.
So why not just explore? Why not see what works?
Tinker a little bit.
What sticks? And so, I felt that if I were to just mix in a new medium, like, let's just see what that does.
Yeah.
And so that's what I did. And I created videos on, just standard real estate things.
Yeah.
And it was like it was the basics.
Right.
And that way I could educate and just put something out there and then see what kind of, response I got back.
Okay.
And then that just continued to grow.
Did you see, do you remember when you started, if you felt like there were a lot of people doing video at that time, or was it seem more scarce? Because one of the comments that I'll get from agents from time to time is, when we have these conversations, is something like, well, there's so many people out there making videos right now. I would just be another voice in the crowd. Like, it's not going to have any impact. I should do something else, whatever. Or, cause I'm not very good at it, but we know you work on stuff, you get better. But back then, I mean, and if I say back then, it wasn't that long ago, it was 2-3 years ago, a little over, but considering everything that's happened between now and then, it seems like, a lifetime ago. Yeah. But do you remember if video was as prevalent, if you saw people, if you had a feeling like, I can't make it because everybody else is doing, I'm going to blend in, or do you even recall that at all? Because you're like, this is just what I got to do.
Yeah. I don't remember, but honestly, if I were to think back, I probably was thinking, I don't care.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't care. Yeah. And even today, there are like thousands of videos being posted
all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And especially today.
Yeah.
By the way.
And on, all of the different platforms, because let's just face it, there's, 101 different platforms that you can be on.
Absolutely.
And I would think that my answer is still, I don't care.
Yeah. Well, and that probably comes from your, I'm sure it's ingrained in you automatically from birth, but it also probably comes from your experience in dealing with the cold calling, in that if someone doesn't like a video or thinks, what do you care? Like, it doesn't make any difference to you. And really, another thing I've tried to impart people wanting to go down this road is, when you first start off, people are great. Like, the response is awesome. People are always very supportive and, have positive things to say. Once you get to a certain point and, you get more traction with your videos, or you say something, maybe you'll have people that'll have a comment, some stranger in Ohio, that might have something to say about it, but it doesn't matter. And it's that thick skin of being able to cold call someone and them having tell you no, to make it easier to do these videos, because you don't care what the response is.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the biggest thing. Like, I hear people say all the time, like, you're so great at video. You show up, you look good, you sound good. Nobody ever hates on you. And I'm like, listen, it is not like,
how it works.
That is not actually, that is very far from the truth.
Yeah.
There's times when I don't want to show up. I don't feel like I look good. I've got a giant zit on my nose. My voice is all groggy because, gosh, like, I don't know about you, but hearing myself talk is like, cringeworthy, but it's still just showing up and being consistent. When I look back on my first videos, I'm like, oh God, like, girlfriend, what were you thinking? What were you doing? What were you saying?
Yes.
Bless your little heart.
Yes.
And yet those videos are still getting views. They're still getting comments on them. And so I would say for somebody that is wanting to break into the video space or even just social media alone is, just get started.
Yeah.
Yes, there's all of these different people that are out there doing it. And yet there's going to be that one person that resonates with you.
Yeah.
Somebody that watches my stuff may not watch your stuff, or somebody that watches your stuff may not resonate with what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And so, that's the beauty of social media. I get asked this question, and it's, who is your ideal client? Well, I recently, within the last year, as I've kind of been like growing and evolving through video and social media, figuring out who that avatar is. Who is it that I want to work with?
Right.
The most beautiful thing is that when I'm putting out content that speaks to that person, that's the type of client that I'm attracting.
Yeah.
And so it's funny because our showing specialist, Andrea, she's amazing. She's like, all of our clients are the best. They're so cute. They're young little families and like all these things. And she's like, they're like my little children. And it's funny because I'm like, yes, that's the goal.
Yeah.
We're putting out content that speaks to them.
Yeah.
Because that's who we want to work with. That's who I want to work with. That's who we can relate with.
Yeah.
And so that's the beauty about video and social media is that when I cold call somebody, their home expired or it's for sale by owner on 123 Main Street, I don't know who's going to pick up the phone.
Right.
But when I'm putting out content that's going to relate with the 33 to 37-year-old female who has a young family or wants to have a family, that's who I'm getting to then work with.
Yeah. You're picking your customers basically with what you put out.
And that's what it is.
Yeah. And you're 3 years into it. And that's where, I think a lot of people that are thinking about or want to do it or trying to do it. Cause I do see a lot of nowadays, again, cause the market has slowed down a little bit, everybody's like, how do I got to get, I read something the other day. It's like, just this year alone, like 60,000 agents, National Association of Realtors said 60,000 agents
got out of the business.
Yep. Which is, I don't want to say it's good, but it is because there were a lot of, just like lenders, there was massive amounts of us when the market was crazy, and there's a lot of great ones out there, but there's a lot that, maybe needed to not be there anymore. Right. Yep. So, but when you're starting off something and you're trying to improve yourself, to have the expectation that you're going to make this quality, wonderful content that everybody's going to engage with, and it's going to be amazing. And, I'll speak for personal experience. When I first started thinking about doing video or putting stuff out, because I was always like a casual observer of social media, that I would flip through and look at stuff from time to time. But I very rarely engaged, period. Like I didn't like comments. I didn't nothing. I just was like, oh, okay, it was 5 minutes to kill and then move on to whatever.
Yeah.
And then once I started doing it more, I started in a place where I had to, I wrote out I want it to look like this. I'm put the camera here and and it had to be perfect, right? It had to be exactly perfect. And what I found was that was just an excuse to not do it, because when I didn't get through the whole thing of putting it together, it was like, oh, well, it's not going to work. I'll just do something different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the power of just doing it, regardless of if it's perfect or not, is such an important thing.
For sure.
And when you start and you've been doing it for 3 years and someone comes in and says, well, Amanda's great. And I can never, but you didn't see it for the first 3 weeks or first 6 months when she was doing it.
Right.
You're seeing it after she's had 3 years of experience and coaching and, help to figuring it out, trial and error and all that kind of stuff.
That's right.
Right. You've gone through the whole process, and still, if I would guess, you're still learning, right?
Oh, of course.
Still figuring it out.
I'm still figuring it out.
Yeah.
And I don't know that anyone has the secret sauce.
No, there's not.
And let me be clear. It's not about going viral.
No.
This is a long-term game for me.
Yes.
And what that looks like is building an audience that is the core of my business.
Yes.
I don't need a video to take off and get, 500,000 likes and views and comments on it.
Doesn't do you any good.
It doesn't do me any good if nobody is reaching out, asking questions or engaging or DMing me to help them with their real estate needs.
Yeah.
So it's a long-term game.
Yeah.
I'm constantly learning and growing through the growing pains of it.
Well, we talked a little bit before we went on live about this, but I want you to speak to it again since you just kind of brought it up there. But talk about the importance of knowing why you're doing the social media part, right? Because you said it's not about going viral. So what do you mean by that? Like, explain that a little bit.
Yeah. So the purpose for me in putting out the content is that I want to provide value. I want to educate somebody
Mhm.
and I want to be relatable with them.
Right.
And so, putting out the content where I'm always thinking like, okay, what do I want somebody to do with this content? Am I trying to educate them? Am I trying to get them to comment or share or, DM me or tag somebody,
Right.
whatever it is. And so the long game for me is the educational piece. And so I think about video in the sense of like, when I'm sleeping, somebody's watching my video.
Mhm.
Like it's working for me.
Yeah.
And so when I put out valuable content, it's going to be relevant always. It's going to be a value add to somebody.
Right. That's the, what do they call it? Evergreen content, especially?
Evergreen content.
Evergreen
Yes.
content. Tell anybody that doesn't know, explain what evergreen content
So
is.
it's content that is going to be relatable with somebody and it's going to always be something that relates with them or that somebody can see value in.
Right.
It's one of those YouTube videos or those Instagram reels that somebody posted, a year ago, years ago,
It's still relevant.
and it's still relevant.
Yeah. Anything that you can put out that doesn't necessarily have to do with right now, but
Mhm.
ultimately can be used, down the road too. So,
Right.
another thing that at least from the outside looking in, I think that you've done, which is always I don't know that it's a debate in the social media marketing world, but I think it's certainly, people have different opinions on it. But I think the way that you've done it has been, I think there's a lot of value to it, which is focusing on one particular platform. So,
Mhm.
at least it appears, and you can tell me if I'm wrong,
Yeah.
because whenever I bring people on to talk about this stuff, I do a little social media stalking to see what's
Yeah.
going on, right? So, Facebook, I could find you, but it wasn't easy, right? It
Mhm.
was a little bit harder, and it wasn't clear, especially for your personal page, that you were realtor. Your team's on there,
Mhm.
the on the move team's on there, but it was a little more challenging there. TikTok, you have the team on there, but you're, at least as far as I could find, you're not personally on there necessarily.
It's my account.
Yeah, well, of course, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I know it's yours, but
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 yeah.
you're not you're the team on that one. So, and then YouTube, I think you had a few things there too, but really where the bulk and traction of everything that I see from you is from Instagram.
That's right.
So Instagram seems to be the one that you really put a lot of your time and focus on. So what was it that made you decide that you wanted to focus on one particular platform? I mean, you still have stuff on the other ones and it gets
Yeah.
put out, but it does appear like you really are geared towards Instagram. What is it about Instagram specifically that made you want to focus on that one?
Yeah, I love Instagram. I think Instagram is such a great platform for so many different reasons. It allows me to connect with individuals, with business owners,
Okay.
with other realtors in areas, and then just, local and organic,
Mhm.
past clients, friends, family. And so I feel that with the different capabilities that you can have on Instagram, there's so much opportunity for you to stand apart, to shine. And so that's why I decided to go all in on Instagram. What's funny is even though Facebook has the Reels feature now,
Yep.
like you're not going to find all of my Reels on Facebook like you do on Instagram.
Yeah.
When I'm showing up in my stories, I'm showing up on Instagram stories, not Facebook stories.
Right.
And then the same with all the other platforms as well. So yeah, I really love Instagram. I love all the features of Instagram. The majority of our social media business is driven through Instagram.
Okay.
It's very easy to set up I have a personal profile. Since growing the team, our team has a profile now
Mhm.
as well.
Yep.
But my personal profile, it's a creator account.
Mhm.
I'm able to still put on there my number, my email, my website. I'm able to put on different links to like our YouTube channel or stories or carousel posts that have multiple photos in them, videos, stories, lives, guides.
Right.
There's just so many different things that you can do within Instagram that I just love. So that is definitely my number one platform. It's my favorite platform.
This is a
Um,
weird question. How old are you?
33.
33. Okay. So I wonder if there's a little bit of generational stuff too, because I'm 45,
Mhm.
so I'm a little older than you. If you can't tell by all the gray and the white there, but um,
Didn't notice it until you said it.
Yeah. My wife's a little bit, she's about the same age as me, about 1 year younger, but she specifically was a big user of Facebook for a long time,
Mhm.
and because that was the one that came along kind of in the age of, we were maybe in our late 20s,
Yeah.
early 30s when it showed up, and we had our kids, but that's kind of when everything started. Instagram didn't really come along till a little bit
No.
later. But like, I have a younger sister who is about your age, and she loves Instagram. Like, Instagram's her thing, and Facebook's like, Facebook,
Yeah.
she's way into Instagram. But then if I had a girl on here recently who was, she's not a realtor, but she does a lot of stuff in the real estate industry space. And she's kind of she calls herself a Gen Z guru. Like, she does a lot of
Mhm.
talk about Gen Z and what they're looking at. And
TikTok's our jam.
TikTok is their jam.
Yeah.
And she told me a story about, we were talking about going out to eat, right? So let me ask you, when you go out to eat, you and your husband or your family, you're going out to eat and you're in a place you don't know, where do you go to figure out where you want to go eat?
Gosh. Okay. So I typically go to Instagram
Okay.
or Yelp.
Yelp. Okay.
But I do like Instagram because there's Dallas Love List and Fort Worth Love List.
Okay. Don't even know that exists. Like, I have no idea that exists.
Oh my gosh, you have to go follow them.
Okay.
Yeah, they're really great.
Okay.
And like, you can go on there and see where they've been and look at reviews and what they love about it.
See, so you went to, I'm going to Instagram. Like, that's
Yeah.
where I'm going. And
Yeah.
then you did say Yelp, because I go to Yelp.
I do go to Yelp.
That's where I
Yeah.
go. I go to Yelp. I'm like, what's around here? And a lot of times I'm just going to try to figure out, like, it's like in Mansfield. Like, I know every restaurant that's here.
I know.
But sometimes you just need a reminder and go, oh yeah, I forgot. Let's go to this place. We haven't
Yeah.
been there in a while, whatever. But so I'm talking to the Gen Z girl, and she was telling me about, like, because she travels a lot and goes places for her job, that they go to TikTok, and there's people that post, and she'll like Arizona, Phoenix, the best restaurants for whatever. And there's a million TikToks about this stuff. And so I'm like, because like, have you ever been to Yelp? And she's like, I don't, what?
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm so old. But you say you go to Instagram. So it's like, there's this, bleed down of these different platforms, depending on when you were born and which one you just kind of gravitate and use more, because it was the thing, at that period of time. So, I mean, I know obviously
That's funny.
the bells and whistles, and the different uses play a role too. But I do think there's this generational thing on these platforms where you see traditionally. Here's another weird thing. So again, my sister, who's close to your age, I don't think she even has a Facebook account. She might, but I'm not 100% certain.
Yeah.
Right. If she does, I've never seen it, and she doesn't post it. I know she has Instagram, but my kids, and my kids' friends, they're starting to create Facebook accounts. And my daughter's 15. And like, it's weird for me because, she has volleyball. I've got like 6 of her friends that are her friends from school, like, the friended me, and I'm like, oh, I don't think so. I'm not going to do that. But it was like, it's like that cycle over of the next generation coming through, because they're all, maybe it's because their parents post on Facebook all the time. And, we post the first day of school pics and all this kind of stuff, but she's on TikTok more than anything. But I'm just saying, they're creating Facebook accounts, and there seems like there's this gap of a generation that just didn't have Facebook at all.
That's so interesting.
And now they're fleeing back, or loading back into there. So I don't know. It's just my theory.
Probably wouldn't be active on Facebook if I wasn't a realtor.
If it wasn't for work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know that I would be active on social media, period. It wasn't for work, honestly.
I do love social media, but again, it's different platforms that I'm more interested in. And, when I first got started with social media, like, the thought to me was like, okay, which platform am I going to dedicate myself to? Which one am I going to decide to go all in on?
Yes.
I'm still going to be a part of these other ones just to get my name out there.
Sure.
Like, I still have a Facebook business page.
Yep.
There's reviews on there.
Yep.
Right? Because there's going to be somebody that's going to relate to.
You got to sell to somebody over 60, right?
Right? I mean, yes.
Like us old people.
Yes.
Yes.
And so I still have that. But when I was first getting started with like deciding during COVID that I was going to go all in on social media, it was like, okay, which one am I going to be consistent on? Which one am I going to just be the expert in?
Yeah.
I'm pretty average at all the others.
Yeah.
But I really have it nailed down on Instagram's platform.
So what do you find on Instagram right now? Well, hang on, let me back up a second. So we talked about coaching, and you've mentioned coaching before on, for your business, not for you personally, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you use coaches in things like outside of, like, because I know Keller has a lot of stuff, but do you have somebody who helps you with social media, like that isn't a part of your team, that says, hey, this is what's trending, do you have somebody that does that?
So
Or have you, I should say?
I have a business coach,
Okay.
right? Like for my business, right?
Okay.
Because I want somebody to be able to teach me,
Yeah.
how to grow a big team and how to successfully do it without me having to
Learn the ropes the hard way.
Yes,
Yes.
reinvent the wheel and go through the growing pains that somebody else has already gone through.
That's right.
So, yes, I do have a business coach. On the
Okay.
social media side, we do have a part-time marketer, Kaylee.
Okay.
She used to be in the real estate agent business. She had a full-time job at our Keller Williams office.
Okay.
And she's just always been in the marketing side of things.
Okay.
I brought her on part-time to post on the team accounts
Okay.
that I'm not going to go post on. Managing one social media account is enough for me,
Yes.
especially when it's just Instagram and that's my main focus.
Yep.
Yet I still want to be relevant and still want to put content out there, still want to highlight the team and share different things that's going on in the community.
Okay.
So she takes that off of my plate.
Okay.
So if you go to our team on the Move DFW, Instagram, Facebook, you're going to see posts regularly.
Mm-hmm.
It's not me that's
not
posting.
You that's doing it.
Yeah.
So
but my Instagram page that that there's always constant posts and videos and stories. That's me.
Okay. So she's posting stuff for you, but Kaylee's her name.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing against Kaylee, by the way. She's not going, hey, you should do this, or you should do this, you should do this. You're kind of doing that yourself. Here's what I want to put out.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm just spending, like when you first get into the business, they teach you, you need to spend from 9 to noon lead generating.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So what do? I take that same model and put it towards social media.
Okay.
So Monday, I'm planning out all of the content.
Okay.
What's trending? What do I want to post about? What's going to add value?
So that's my question. So where are you going to find the type of stuff you want to post now that you're doing it? Now that the question is always, how do I start? I can start doing it. I'm going to go, now it becomes, okay, now I really got to refine my message. So where are you finding that kind of stuff?
So
what are your resources?
I'm going to go to Instagram and I'm going to go to TikTok to look for what's trending. What are people resonating with?
Where do you look in Instagram?
So on the Discover page,
okay.
It will be the second icon to your left, and you'll click there, and then you'll be able to just see what's showing up on your For You page.
Okay.
And you'll be able to see. You could type in like hashtag Arlington, Texas. You can type in, building a new home.
Okay.
And just see what
has the most views, what's getting traction.
What's showing up there. So I'm looking there. You can also, just look on Google or
Google Trends.
Anything. Like I'm looking at where I'm meeting people at. So like on Instagram. So I'm going to look on Instagram, like what's relating with people.
Right.
And so I'm taking Monday as my day where I plan out that content and I figure out, what am I going to post for the week? What's going to bring value to people? I do have content pillars. So I've got 4 content pillars.
Okay.
And that was something that I created. I created my avatar. Who is it that I want to speak to? Who do I want to work with?
So, okay. So when you say I created my avatar, because some people are like, wait, you made a person that exists? No.
Yes, I did. Her name's Grace.
Okay. So, but you're talking, you didn't actually create this thing. This is who you're trying to sell to. Cause I've heard this before. I've heard you've created this human or this thing.
Yes.
This human that exists that you don't really know.
Yeah.
But you do because you know her name and what she shops and what she, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's your avatar, right?
That's my avatar.
Yes.
So I created her first.
She's like your prime audience, essentially.
Who do I want to talk to when I'm creating content?
Right.
And then I created the content pillars.
Gotcha.
What kind of content am I going to consistently put out that's going to relate to my avatar?
Right.
What content am I going to put out that's going to relate to Grace? Because I teach trainings and classes to realtors all over. I've been teaching them in Texas and outside of Texas. And that's one of the things that I say is create your avatar. Who is it that you want to talk to? And then create the content that you're going to be passionate about.
Right.
And that's going to relate to your primary audience.
Right.
And so I've got those content pillars.
So what are your pillars?
So local businesses, sports,
Okay.
New construction,
Okay.
real estate, and
Very
then
big right now.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then all things local.
Okay. Gotcha.
So I've got those that I'm putting out. Sports is a big one for me. And then I sell a lot of new construction.
So when you say you do sports as one of your pillars, how do you relate that to real estate when you do it?
I don't.
You don't. You just talk about sports.
Yeah.
Okay. Like you have
listen,
kids?
I don't.
Okay.
No, like I love professional, like the Cowboys. Like we just sent out 300 magnet cowboy calendars. Yeah. Like that's
do you post content about sport? I've never seen you. Maybe I haven't gone through it in depth, but
I mean, I like baseball, and I started posting about baseball at the beginning of the season. But you got
to do what you like to do. You can't force it.
Yeah. Now that
football season.
Oh yeah,
that's your jam.
Yes.
Are you a Browns fan?
I mean, if my dad's listening, yes.
Bengals?
No.
Yeah, because it's Cincinnati, or excuse me, in Ohio, you're either a Browns fan or a Bengals fan, and y'all hate each other. It's kind of like here. You're either a Rangers fan or an Astros fan, and there is no in between. The Cowboys really don't hate on the Texans very much. The Texans certainly hate on the Cowboys, but we're disinterested in the Texans for the most part. It's like, you're here, but whatever.
So I'm always rooting for the home team, which is why I'm a Cowboys fan.
Okay, so to all of Amanda's clients out there, she is a avid Cowboys fan.
Yes,
but Dad,
I am. We go to the games. Yeah. We went to the draft when I was here in town.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
I mean, we're like very into sports. Yeah,
love it.
And again, why I went to college for sports administration.
Are you
going to athletic director?
Are you going to promise right now that after every Sunday, after a Cowboy game, are you going to give your take on what happened and how terrible it was? Or I mean,
you can find me on the Fan.
Okay, you're gonna make. I might do that myself. You make a video and just be like, "This team is terrible." Like, yeah, this happened. So I'm tuning in if that's what you're going to do. I'm definitely in for
What's funny is like our clients know that I'm a huge sports fan.
Yeah,
and I've got a lot of clients that are New Orleans Saint fans.
Oh yeah,
and I love them so much that I send them a Cowboys calendar like on purpose. And like,
I love it.
Draw like a smiley face.
Yes.
Like, I know you've been waiting for this.
Yes.
And,
yes.
They're texting me.
Of course.
They're
Damn
like,
you.
Yeah.
Yes. No, our company's in New Orleans, so I'm very familiar with that one as well.
They expect nothing less, though.
Yes.
They just know that that's my personality. But
that's the fun of it. That's why sports is fun.
Yeah.
Because you can poke fun at each other and nobody gets their feelings hurt. Well, usually.
I mean, for the most part. But, like I'm putting out that content. Like I want people to relate with me, Amanda Ryan.
Yeah.
The 33-year-old married sports lover, local enthusiast.
Yeah.
I want them to relate with me.
Absolutely.
So one of my content pillars is real estate and new construction and just like tips and advice and all the things real estate related, but all the other content that I'm posting and putting out there is something that I think Grace is going to relate with. Grace, my avatar.
Yep. Well, and that touches on something that I talk about on here a lot is, creating content around real estate is great. Like, you need that, you have to do it, but there has to be another facet because you're not just real estate. You're not just Amanda who sells real estate. There's a lot of other parts of you that exist, and people want to identify with someone that they identify with. Right. And the only way to do that is to know everything there is, or not everything, but, know other parts about you other than that you sell real estate. And, one of the things that I see a lot right now, and I say right now because, like I said, market's slowing down a little bit. Everybody's like, how do I need to market myself better, get in front of more clients, et cetera. And so you see a lot of realtors and mortgage people putting out hey, call me if you want to buy or sell your home. I'm going to be your trusted advisor and I'm going to be here for you. Right. And here's my phone number and my email and give me a call. Right. The standard commercial, and they don't put really anything else out. That's it. You know what I mean? And then it was like, well, I made some stuff, but it didn't have any traction. I'm like, okay, so it's a different avenue. We come from a world, or I do, where we've been trying to escape commercials since the dawn of media, right?
Mm-hmm.
You had the 3 big channels and they ran their commercials and everybody bought in. And then once they realized that,
That
the
wasn't the
sugar,
way.
the sugar companies told you all the cereal was good for you and actually it gives you heart disease. And we didn't figure that out. Or even when they had advertising, it's, smoking's great. No, you're fine.
Oh, yeah.
You're like, they might lie to us in those ads. I don't know, maybe. So we've all tried to get out of it. And then you go into, you go from regular TV to cable. All right, we'll go on cable. And then they start popping. And then you go, well, now we're going to go to streaming, and now Netflix is like, hey, we may start running ads, if you want to charge a lower. And so point is everybody's trying to get away from advertising,
right?
Trying to move away from it. And so what you're doing is you're creating content that's informative, that has information, that has value, like you said. And you're also creating content that's just personal, that's about you and what you enjoy. And can you explain or say to an agent that might be listening to this why that part is so important and why the commercial aspect of it may not be the route you want to go and have the least amount of success with?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, people don't want to be sold.
Right.
We're being sold all the time. Yes. I don't know about you, but I get like 17 scam calls, before noon
every day.
And then I get like 21 afternoon to, 9 p.m. at night.
How many DMs do you get of, hey, I'll edit your content? And I'll like,
I get those too. Yeah. Like people don't want to be sold. No. They want to give their opinion. They want to hear a good story. Yeah. They want to laugh. They want to relate with somebody. And so one thing that I teach in the social media class that I hold is, you're never going to see a just listed or just sold post from me. Mm-hmm. Instead, you're going to see a story.
Right.
And you're going to see a story about a family. And usually somebody can relate to that story with that family. Mm-hmm. Instead of just listed, just sold, congrats to my amazing clients.
Yes.
Like nobody wants to see that. No. And so you want to put out that content that's going to be relatable. Don't think of it as an advertisement. If you educate somebody about real estate, you don't have to introduce yourself as a realtor. Right. You don't have to say, call me.
They'll figure it out.
Yeah, they're going to figure it out. And then they're going to see you as the expert. Yeah. They're going to follow you. They're going to DM you, and they're only going to use you.
Right.
And so you've got to think differently about putting out the content. When I look at my own Instagram feed or TikTok or whatever it is, and I'm scrolling and I'm like, I listen to a video and the first thing is like, hey guys, and I'm like, oh my God, nope, next. Like nobody wants that.
No.
You have 3 seconds to hook them immediately.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do in those first few seconds or first few words of your post or in the photo to grab their attention?
Yeah.
Without selling them.
Yeah.
Because I promise they're going to just keep scrolling at that point.
Well, and that's something you learn doing it too, is because I'm sure it sounds very much like you've been self-taught in doing all this, social media stuff. And there's more resources out there than you could possibly imagine to figure out what you need with. And I don't say don't pay somebody to do stuff, because sometimes paying someone is easier and you can get there faster and you don't have to go through all the bumps and bruises. But if you can't afford it, if you're not in a place where you're ready to start paying someone, there's plenty of resources out there that you can find on what to do. And brought one up just exactly right now, the whole idea of the hook of, if you want someone to listen to you within the first 2 or 3 seconds of your video, there has to be something that attracts them to watch a little bit longer.
Gets their attention.
Right. And it's not, hey guys, I'm Mike Mills with Verity Mortgage.
Happy
and
Monday.
Yeah. Like all that stuff.
Do not.
Yes.
Do not.
So it's a difficult thing to figure out how to get out of that. But again, you have to make content in order to start figuring out what works and what doesn't. And when you start to see that.
And one of the things that I decided early on was I don't have all the answers, right?
Of course not.
And so, yes, I'm going to go to Google and I'm going to look them up. Chances are they're not going to be the most up-to-date information. So what can I do? I can go follow marketers. I can go follow these influencers who are doing this on a daily basis.
Yes.
There's these vloggers and influencers and marketing agencies and, professional
putting stuff out nonstop every day.
Yeah. And they know what they're doing. They're catching my eye. So why not go follow them, see what they're doing, and then recreate that content into something that somebody can relate with, whether it's real estate related or, local related, all of those things.
How often are you on your Instagram strategy right now? Are you posting stories every day or reels every day or 3 reels a week, or, what's your general strategy right now?
So I pretty much show up on my stories every day.
Okay.
There's something. And I try to do that. I intend to do that every single day. Sometimes, life happens. Like I'm just not feeling it. I don't feel good. Or maybe it's just one of those days where
You just don't feel like I'm not doing it today. Yeah.
I'm working from home and I'm not getting out of my yoga pants and my tank top and no makeup on. It's just like one of those days. But I'm still finding a way to provide value to my followers and to my audience without me having to show up on camera. And so, yes, I'm posting on my stories every single day. And that's that real, authentic, just
whatever's on your mind.
Yeah, just putting that out there. And again, sometimes it's real estate related and sometimes it's not.
Right.
And then my focus is reels.
Okay.
And so the goal is to put 2 reels out a day.
2 a day. Okay.
And so, or I'm sorry, not 2 a day, two a week.
2 a week. Okay.
I'm like, whoa.
I was like 2 a day is pretty impressive.
No.
Yeah.
So what's funny is I noticed that there was a slowdown in my Instagram with engagement and everything. And this was back in December. And I said, okay, what can I do to switch it up? So I did 1 a day for the entire month. Now I did miss a couple of days. But I was very intentional about putting
Just
out.
test it and see how to do.
And it did great.
Yeah.
I was able to kind of get a refresher, re-kick into my account.
Yeah.
And then I started, back in January, not posting once a day, just posting twice a week.
Right.
And I noticed that my
traction started slowing down.
No, it started
staying the same?
Yeah, it started staying the same.
Okay.
And so it was great. It was just a way for me to just
mix it up.
Yeah, mix it up. Trick the algorithm if there's such a thing.
Something I read the other day, I don't know if you've seen this. I just saw it maybe a day or 2 ago, and I don't remember if it was an article or if it was a video. Like all the media runs together in my head sometimes where I pick this stuff up. But it was saying that if you want to change up your traction on your reels, to take it off of being also posted to your page, because it prioritizes your friends, your sphere before new people. So and he was saying, like, if you turn off, he's like, just try it. If you cause there's that button on there that you can share it to your page or whatever, or you do both. But if you uncheck that and just kick it out, well, then it goes to more strangers or whatever. It gets kicked out more to the masses, which can get you more followers. And then, you can kind of alternate back and forth with doing that. So
I like it.
Little nugget there. See, I can provide information sometimes.
For sure. And that's the thing, just like we just talked about, like, I don't know all the answers and I don't expect somebody else to know all the answers. But when you talk with marketers or you talk with somebody else who's doing it, you collaborate and you figure out what's working for them. And then you repurpose it into your business, into your account.
So if you were starting out or if you teach classes, which are great, but your classes real quick, are these available to anybody? Is this only Keller Williams? How do you do your classes?
Yeah. So
and where do you do your classes?
Typically I just have brokerages reach out to me.
Okay.
And we set up a day and time.
Sweet.
So I do them locally, or I've had brokerages fly me out and I go teach there. And sometimes it's a 1-day class. It's a 90-minute class. And sometimes it's a 2-part series that we do over 2 days. So it just depends.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm open to anybody.
Perfect. So if you want Amanda to come do a class for you, reach out. She'll definitely do that for you.
Let's do it.
The other thing is, if you were talking to somebody in your class that had, was like, I want to do social media. It's important to me. I know it has value, but like, how should they start? Like, how would you tell somebody, okay, first you do this, then you do this? Like, give me the first, let's call it condensed 6 months of your social media adventure. Like, what would you tell somebody how would that process look?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's definitely going to start with creating your avatar. Who is it that you want to work with? Who is it that you're going to talk to? When you're talking to everyone, you're talking to no one.
Gotcha. Okay.
Figure out who it is that you want to work with and who you're going to talk to. What content pillars are you going to post? What's going to be most relatable with that person, with those, people, audience that you're looking to talk to.
Okay.
And then from there, batch your content, get a game plan in place. Just like lead generation, you have, a couple hours every single day that you're working on growing your business.
Right.
That still applies to social media. So take a day where you're planning out your content, you're maybe creating it, or, you know, you have the lay of the land on Monday, and then every day throughout the week, you're creating that content. You're going on social media, you're engaging with your followers, with new local businesses, with people that you haven't yet met. You're sending DMs. That's really where I would start. And I think even before all of that, pick a platform that you're going to go all in on.
Right.
You don't have to be present and show up consistently on all the platforms, because that sounds exhausting.
It's a lot of time.
That's a lot.
It's a lot of
And
time.
so figure out, where is it that you're going to commit to, go all in on that platform. And I promise you're going to see your followers turn into clients, DMs. You're going to end up taking those offline, turning them into appointments, whether it's on Zoom, Google Meet, or in person. That's how our business goes.
Do you feel like you have a pretty good idea of the amount of, and I know it's hard to quantify because people come from all kinds of places when you're doing business with them, but do you have a pretty good grasp on how many people you think, say on a monthly basis, that you get just specifically from social media that isn't part of the sphere, new people that are coming to you?
We typically get 2 leads a week.
Okay.
And so the way that works is, a lot of it is agent referrals. So I'm putting content out there
from other states.
Yes. Putting content out there, and other agents are like, okay, wow, she is the Dallas-Fort Worth expert. She knows what she's talking about.
Right.
And so I gain that know, like, and trust factor from them, and they're following me. I have agents all the time that are like, yeah, I put out content, but it's only agents that follow me. And that's okay.
Yeah, that's good.
It's a huge opportunity for future referrals.
Yeah.
So typically we get on average 2 leads a week, and that's agent referrals and then organically. When I'm posting content, I'm always posting either a local business, or I'm just tagging Arlington. I'm putting Arlington as the location. Or I'm, tagging.
You're trying to be as local as possible.
Yeah. I'm putting on hashtags, or I'm tagging like a local business in Mansfield or Arlington.
Right.
Just because I want to be able to show up in those search areas. If you notice, when you go to searching on Instagram, you can put hashtag Arlington, Texas, and the top posts with that hashtag are going to show up.
Right.
The goal is always to stay relevant and stay to the top of the searches for any of those local searches.
Right.
Again, the point isn't to go viral, right? I don't care that, all of these people from, Canada are liking my stuff, because
doesn't really help you a whole lot.
I mean, that's great if they have an intention to move to Texas, but chances are that they don't.
Yes.
So when I'm, really speaking to the local community here, tagging those businesses, tagging the locations, checking in areas, I know that anybody that's watching that content or that's liking that content, most likely they're going to be local, and they're going to reach out to me for their next real estate need.
Right. Do you, what are you, as kind of, we're over an hour now, so things gone quick. What do you, or are you working on anything right now? Like, what do you have a next project where you're like, okay, I've gotten pretty good at this, and it could be something within Instagram, it could be another platform. Like, what's your tinker toy right now that you're trying to figure out?
Yep. So I've dove all in on Instagram over the years and have loved it, and still love it. It's still my go-to. The next platform that I would really like to grow in is YouTube.
Okay.
And so I'm working on a game plan right now to getting 1 video posted a week, getting with professionals, for the recording, for the editing, researching how to upload, with the best intention, or, that's really going to, like, trick the algorithm, or just, relate with the algorithm, because YouTube is like its own animal. There's just so many things. Instagram, I can record, post, boom, done.
Yeah.
Whereas YouTube, you've got to write the title, you've got to create the thumbnail, you got to put in the caption. Now you can put chapters. Like, oh my God, talk about just like so many things going on.
Yeah.
So I'm working and learning and growing through that. And the goal is to continue Instagram, because I will always love
Bread and butter.
Instagram.
Can't let it go.
Yep, that's right. But to do something new and exciting and just different.
What do you think your YouTube content's going to be? I mean, obviously it'll be focused around real estate, but
So I've been posting. I mean, it's not like I haven't been on YouTube,
but it's just you haven't been dialing in on getting
Right.
the traction on it and what
For
all
sure.
the little tricks are that you need to do. Yeah.
So as much as I love watching the videos of somebody taking you on a tour to a pretty house, I do love that. I also really find enjoyment like teaching others on local businesses or areas to go check out.
Yeah.
And so I recently did one on visiting the Grandscape in the Colony.
Okay.
And the reviews and just the feedback that I got from that video, I put it out there and I got so many comments and even emails like, hey, because I put it into a newsletter, like, hey, check out this new video I posted. And I got so much great response from that. People were like, hey, this is great. I didn't even know this existed. Like, what? There's a Ferris wheel? Like, oh, this is where Nebraska Furniture Mart is.
Yeah.
And so like being able just to provide that value, highlight local businesses, maybe show somebody somewhere new or just shouting out a local business, an area.
Put the good vibes in the world, and that stuff comes back to you. And you always try to help people as much as you can. And that if that means highlighting businesses in your area,
for sure,
I think that's great. Yeah.
So I do think that I will put out there, some real estate. Of course, I'm gonna get my content pillars for YouTube. Squared away.
Yeah, like your take on the football game afterwards.
That's right.
I'm marking that down. That you're gonna do that.
I might.
Yeah,
I might. But I don't know. It depends on how Sunday night went.
You're the female, not born and raised Cowboy fan opinion on how the game went.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And like I would tune in. Okay, what does she think? Like what because I always joke, especially like you deal with our kids and stuff. Like we as parents, you have rose-colored glasses. Everything your child does looks great, and everything your home team does looks great. So it's always nice to have someone outside going, "Look, bro, like it's not. Here's the problems. Here's this. Here's this."
I mean, I could do a whole video on Zeke leaving, and
see,
yeah.
Just after the first game, it's like we only rushed for 75 yards today. If he'd have been here,
No, I'm actually.
Are you on the other side of the fence?
Yeah, I'm on the other side.
See how much better Tony Pollard is. See, he told you he's been sitting forever. He was the guy. He should have been out there. Just hope he's durable.
Underrated.
Yeah, just hope he's durable. That's the only thing. Got a little guy. So those are, I'm a big football fan. There are, 300-pound, 6'5" guys that run a 4.2 40 flat. And they are coming down on you hard. And when you're 5'8" or 9" or whatever, how big he is, and he weighs, 220 maybe, taking those hits every day after every game is a lot. It's a lot. So I'm hoping he stays healthy.
He's going to zip past him. It's going to be great.
I agree with you. There you go. Well, I really, really appreciate you coming in today. This was a lot of great information. I try as much as I can, like I said in the beginning, to bring people on that have gone through this stuff because, it's one thing for somebody to tell you, oh, you should do this, you should do that, and whatever.
Yeah.
And everybody always makes it sound like it's, if you just do this, it's so easy. But the truth is that we all start whatever, and it's not just social media, anything, whatever you do, you're going to start and you're going to fail, and you're going to fail in a number of different ways. And it's the resilience to keep trying and keep getting better and keep refining what you're doing.
That's right.
If it matters, right? There are some things that fail, you need to bail, and it's fine. But once you find a thing that has an impact and can have a benefit to what you're doing, and you focus on that and you put the time and the effort into it, it will pay its dividends down the road. But you just got to be patient. And, Rome wasn't built in a day. You can't eat it, well in one bite. All the tropes that come along with it's a process. It's a step by step, and you learn and, grow as you go.
For sure. And I will say this, it's easy to compare yourself on social media.
Yeah.
It's easy to look at somebody's Instagram or Facebook or YouTube and you're like, wow, they have it together. I could never do that. I can never be on that level. Like, I'm just not even going to try.
Yeah.
Don't let those thoughts get to you, because we all started at square one.
Yes.
We all started at the beginning.
Yeah.
And I would say the majority of us, myself included, I don't always love the way that I look or the way that I sound, or, even what I say, I stumble over my words. Like, it's okay.
Yeah.
People are going to relate with you in that authenticity.
Yes.
They're going to see you for, who you are and what you're putting out, and they're not going to judge you for it.
Yeah.
So stop judging yourself.
Yeah. don't be so hard on yourself.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
it's going to be fine. You're going to do okay.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, again, I really, really thank you for coming by. Thanks for spending some time with us and sharing your Instagram journey with us. So that way we'll hopefully. Jen wants to chime in and say that your reels are also very aesthetically pleasing. She
Thank you.
really enjoys that.
I use Canva.
Yes.
I do have a branding guide that I created for myself on Canva.
Okay.
And so I was able to, really figure out what colors do I want my brand to represent. And you'll notice that, they're very like pastel-y, like light, airy
Yes.
colors. And so thank you, Jen. And that's what I'm using is Canva to help make sure that my brand is consistent.
Does it just give you color schemes and you just pick from it? And then
so like it has a palette and you can like put like, I want these 6 colors as my branding palette. And then whenever you're creating content, they're saved. And so they're automatically going to show up as your branding colors.
Okay.
And then so you're able to, without like finding the hex code every time,
right.
You're able to just click on those colors, and same thing with your fonts.
Yes.
Click on those, and that way all of your content is
the same.
Yeah, it's consistent.
The brand stays consistent.
Yes, I'm very protective of my brand.
Love it.
And
I love it.
The colors and the fonts. And
yeah,
everything.
well,
So
and that's
use that.
I see. Did you? I was trying to go along with the brand today.
match.
I know we came in. I've got my pastel pink shirt. We're all I paid attention to this stuff. So this is
Thanks
stuff
for
that
dressing
I think
up
about.
for me.
There you go.
Appreciate
Yeah, we got the collar on today.
Combed your hair and everything.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Well, thank you as always. I really appreciate it. We'll be back next week. Thank you for everybody that stuck around, and we'll see you later.
Thanks for having me.
You got it.
See
My
you
pleasure.
soon, guys.
Alrighty. See you guys.